And take a look at 510. And the thing about 510 is this is like your last resort, last ditch effort. So if you cannot factor, if you don't have a picture of a graph, if you don't know what a possible solution is, we use what is called the rational root theorem. And so what that does is it gives you possible zeros. So if you do this and you go through, and honestly it's like a fancy way of guess and check. If you go through, we just narrow down those guesses. If we've narrowed down those guesses with this, and we check all of them and none of them work, you're done with the problem. You can't do it. Okay? With the things that you know today, you can't do it. Now, I'll be honest, the problems you have work. So do not think that you're going to write down like does not work, not possible, something like that. Every problem I give you, I'll tell you right now, is going to work. So that means every problem that I give you, if you can't figure it out, you're missing something. So get help or something along those lines. Now, this is how it works. So the rational root theorem states that the coefficients that form P and Q, when I divide them, that gives me a list of possible zeros. Now P, this is a little bit backwards, in my opinion, P is right there. It's your constant. So I'll show you down here in a minute. And then Q is your lead coefficient. Okay? So that's why I think it's kind of backwards, because P is the first thing we look at, but it's actually the last thing in the problem. And Q is the last thing we look at, but it's the first thing in the problem. So I'm going to help guide you through the first example. But then as we continue on, I'm going to ask you to do more, and eventually I won't do anything. So to start off, what I like to do is I like to just put down what is P and what is Q. So I'm going to do that under my possible zeros. I'm going to put P, 2 dots, and I'm going to put Q and 2 dots. So when I'm looking, I go P is my constant. It's my last term. So I look over here, that's 6. So that's what P is. And Q is the number that's in the very beginning. It's my leading coefficient. So the highest degree, we give them to you in standard order. So it's just my first number, which is 1. Now, P and Q are really the factors of those two numbers. So the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. And my factors of 1 are just 1. So I'm not going to write that twice. You don't need to do that. But I also want you to realize for 6, it's not just 2 and 3. It's also negative 2 times negative 3. So we're going to have a bunch of plus or minuses. So I have possible zeros. And on your test, that is 1 point on your test. Can you just tell me the possible solutions? So here we go. Possible solutions here would be plus or minus. And I just go P divided by the factors of Q. So I only have one factor for Q, so it's nice and easy. I just divide all these numbers by 1. So I write it as 1 divided by 1. I'll write it as plus or minus 2 divided by 1, plus or minus 3 divided by 1, and plus or minus 6 divided by 1. Now, if you write plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6, I'm happy. If you write that down, I will also accept it. I don't actually care about you simplifying your possible solution, because I'm happy to see that you're just taking your P's over your Q's and doing all right with it. So that is the one time I actually won't penalize you for reducing things. So those are our possible solutions. How do you check if something is a solution? Yeah.
You could do long division, or you could do subtract division.
You could do long division, or you're correct, you could do the synthetic division. So, some of you are probably thinking, Nichols, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible solutions. Where's the solution? I don't want to find it. It is now guess and check. We've narrowed down from every single number out there to these 8 possible solutions. So we're going to check them. We're going to see what happens. Hopefully one of them works, but no guarantees. I will also say I always just start at 1. There's no like, oh, if you look at these two numbers and you add them up and divide it by 6, it tells you should start in the middle. No, there's nothing. There's no shortcut. You just pick and start. If you always want to start with 6, start with 6 every time. Or the last number. If you always want to start with the negatives, start with the negatives. I just start with the first number that I see, that's positive, and then I do the negative version, then I do the positive, and then the negative, and then I keep going. There is no shortcut. It sucks, but that's what it is. So here we go. We're going to do a synthetic, and we're going to do iteration after iteration after iteration. If you do synthetic and it doesn't work, do you erase it? No. I actually want you to keep that. That's something I can give you credit for, because you're showing me you have an understanding of what the heck you're supposed to do. Does it always work out? You might not get it to work out, but I can at least give you credit for something. So I'm going to put 1 out here, and then I fill this in. So 1, 1, -7, -1, +6. Let's review synthetic really quickly together. I drop down the 1. Do I add or do I multiply? We multiply. So I get 1 times 1 is 1. Then I add. And then I continue this process on. So add, multiply, add, so on and so forth. So I get a 2, and then I times them together. I get 2, and then I add them. I get -5. Multiply, -5. I get a -6. And so I get a -6. And that gives me 0. Nice. First iteration, it worked. Chances of that happening, not very high, to be honest. It's 1 out of 8. Or maybe it's 2 out of 8. We don't know until we actually solve the problem. So I got this. I got to write it in factored form. How do I write 1 in factored form? This is going to be, we've done this before. Is it x plus 1 or x minus 1?
X plus 1. No, x minus 1.
How do I write this as a factor? Is it x plus 1 or is it x minus 1?
X is equal to 1.
It is going to be x minus 1. What degree is this going to be? This is going to be x cubed. Good. So I got x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now I look, can I factor? Can I factor the x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6 by grouping, by trinomials, greatest common factor? Can I do any of that?
No.
I can't. So you know what we do again? We do our p's and q's. Again. And we try to break that down again until you get into a quadratic, because then you can always do quadratic formula. So if I look at this, my q is actually 1. My p is actually still 6. So my possible solutions are actually the same exact thing. So I'm going to do synthetic division again, but I'm only doing synthetic division with what's right there. So I got 1, 2, -5, and -6.
1, 2, 3.
So I'm going to start off with 1 again. And I'm going to just see what happens. You do the synthetic this time. I'm going to wait until you get an answer. Actually, I won't wait that long. I'm going to put my answer up there too. So does that work? Does that break this down for us? No, because it's not 0. It needs to be 0 for it to work out nicely. So that didn't work.
2.
No. I go in order. You can do 2 if you want. So I'm going to put 1, 2, -5, -6. Where's the mistake in here?
You did +6 under -6.
Yeah. All right. So we did break it down. That one doesn't work. So now I write my factors again. So this x minus 1 just comes along for the ride. So I got x minus 1. What is the factor for negative 1? It's going to be x plus 1. Good. And then I write this out. This is going to be 1x to what power? Second power is good. All right, so we have a quadratic now, which is nice because I can either factor it or I can do the quadratic formula. Can I factor that?
Yeah.
What's a factor to? Negative 3 and 3 wouldn't work because it's negative 6. But negative 3 kind of works, or 3 kind of works. What is it? What two numbers?
Negative 3, 2. Negative x minus 3 x.
No. We keep our x's positive. So I'm putting 2 and 3 in here.
-2.
That has to be a negative 2 and a positive 3. Okay? So we got that. So my solutions here are going to be x equals 1, x equals negative 1, x equals 2, and x equals negative 3. Got 4 solutions. I started with a degree 4. I still have a degree 4. That is how we do that problem. Cool.
That's a lot of work.
Can be a lot of work. Question? Next problem. I want to point something out to you. What's missing up here?
X-cubed.
X cubed. Nice. So when you do your synthetic, I'm going to have 1, then I'm going to have 0, then negative 5, negative 6, and then I'm going to have 2. So I'm going to leave that up there, but we have to figure out what numbers we're actually going to look at. So in this problem, what is key? 2. And actually, I'm not even going to say negative 2. I'm going to just say 2, because when I look at what numbers multiply to 2, it's going to be plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 2. What's Q in this situation? 1. So let's list all our factors. I should have plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 2. Notice I wrote it a little bit differently this time. Really what you're doing is you have plus or minus 1 over 1, and I have plus or minus 2 over 1. Again, I don't care if you write it, either of those is fine, but you gotta write it one of those ways. So that's our possible solutions. Where do we want to start? Let's change it up this time. These 2 rows right here, you're going to plug in 1. The 2 middle rows, you're going to plug in negative 1. And then the final 2 rows, you're going to plug in 2. I'll actually do negative 2. So we all are going to have a different synthetic. Mine didn't work. Didn't get the correct answer.
Wait.
Mine worked.
Yours worked? You had negative 1? Alright. Anyone else with negative 1 get it to work? I got heads bobbing, so that's good. So we're actually not going to do the full synthetic. We're going to trust Chase on this. What'd you get for the numbers down here?
1, negative 1, negative 4, negative 2, and 0.
Alright. Okay, we got that. Did anyone else get a number to work? Ones, did you get a number to work? Okay, here's the deal. If you didn't get 1 to work this time, it's not going to work the next time. Did we get 2 to work?
No, but how did -1 times -2 equal out?
So we can actually go through the synthetic. So I dropped it down, I get -1 right there, that's good. I multiply, I get +1, I get -4, that's good. Multiply, I get +5, 4. No. Is that right?
That 2 of those would be negative.
Ah, is it? Yeah, it is. All right, well, that's good. That changes that too. So this is +4, which is -2, and then this gives me +2. All right, so that's good. No, that's fine. I was just going pretty quick there. So we get that. So 1 did not work. We're not going to try 1 again. 2 did not work. We're not going to try 2 again. -2 did not work. We're not going to try -2 again. We're going to see, first of all, can I factor this? So I currently have x. Is it plus or minus 1? Plus. I go the opposite of that, so I get x plus 1. And then I look at this, and this is going to be x cubed minus x squared minus 4x minus 2. Can I factor that by grouping? No. So you got to do your p's and q's again. But notice your p's and q's are the same, just like they were in the first one. So I don't need to make a new list. Instead, I can just go back and try those numbers out. Now again, 1 did not work. 2 did not work. -2 did not work. I'm not going to try them on this one. Because if I got 1 to work in the first iteration, it would work here. Okay? So the solutions can't disappear. If they work in one place, they will work if you do it in a different order. So we're going to actually go with -1 again and see if we can break this down. So everybody do -1. Asher?
Yeah.
Do you think you got it? Not yet. Aiden? You got it? What'd you get?
1, -2, -2.
Who agrees with that? Not a lot of agreement. So we drop down 1, and then I go -1 times 1 is -1. That gives me the -2, which is good. -1 times -2 is +2. So -4 and 2 give me -2. And then -1 times -2 is +2. So that does work out. So we write that in factor form again now. So I have x plus 1 for my first iteration of synthetic division. I have x plus 1 from the next iteration of synthetic division. And then I have x squared minus 2x minus 2. All of that equals 0. Can I factor x squared minus 2x minus 2? Three heads shaking no. Now here's the deal. If you don't know if you can factor it, you don't have to factor it. We can do the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is on the whiteboard over there. I want you to fill those pieces in. So put in -b, put in b squared, put in 4 times a times c, and put in divided by 2a. Fill those pieces in and try to solve it. And then I will go on board and do some of that stuff as well. What is the square root of 12? What are two numbers that multiply to 12? 4 and 3. So if you got 4 and 3, I'm going to write that as 2 square roots of 3 divided by 2. Am I missing an I? Do I put a box around it? Should I fill, like, am I good? Am I done? Am I not good? Do I need to do something?
You can go
We can divide by 2. So we're going to divide both of those items by 2. So we're going to get x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 3. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4 solutions. 3, 4. Add it all. What questions do we have? The one in the front? Yes, you need to have it, because really what this is this is 2 divided by 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 3 divided by 2. So it's really like the distributive property, but with division. So I do need to have the 1 there because I'm actually doing that division. That make sense? All right. It's a good question. Other questions?
Can you have how you get the possible zeros?
Yes. All the way at the top. Yep. All right. So here we go. So the possible zeros come from P, which is just your constant. So it's really whatever that number is. It's the number without the x. So I'm looking at what factors of 2 are there. Well, 2 is just 1 and 2. Like just what numbers multiply to 2. Then I look for Q, I look at the very beginning. So I look at what is the lead coefficient. In this case, it's just 1. So what are the factors of 1? Just 1 and 1. So then that's where these are coming from. And again, if I have, like -2 times -1, that's still 2. So that's why I have to have the plus or minus sign. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? Flip that page. You can cross off the very bottom thing about putting it into Desmos. But we are going to do this problem. So what is my constant? What is P? 30. So let's just start by writing out what are my factors of 30. Let's try to go from 1 and then go up in ascending order. So it's going to be 1 times what is 30? 30. So I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to have 1 and I'm going to have 30 over here. All right. What's my next factor? 2 times 15. So I'm going to have that.
2 times 10.
2 times 10.
5 times 6.
Do we have any other factors? No. So I got that. So that's the list for P. Then I look at Q. What is Q? 2. When you have a number other than 1 as Q, yuck. It gets kind of nasty. So here we go. So my factors for Q are 1 and 2. So possible zeros. I start with taking all the P's divided by 1. And then I go back and I do all the P's divided by 2. I do not have to have repeats. So I'm going to have plus or minus 1 over 1. I'll leave it like that so it's easier to see. Then I have plus or minus 2 over 1. Then I have plus or minus 3 over 1. So on and so forth. So let's get all the ones divided by 1 done. Gonna have another line here of solutions in a moment. So we got all those down. That's a lot of possibilities. Next, I divide them all by 2. Now, I don't have to repeat anything. So I'm gonna start with 1 divided by 2, so I get plus or minus 1 over 2. 2 divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I'm not gonna put that one up there, because I don't have to repeat, and 1 over 1 is there. Then I go 3 over 2. I do have to put that one up here, so plus or minus 3 over 2. Then I have 5 divided by 2, so plus or minus 5 divided by 2. And then I got 6 divided by 2, which is 3, so I do not have to do that one again. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5, so I don't have to do that one again, but 15 I have to do, so plus or minus 15 over 2. And then last, the 30 divided by 2 is just 15. So we're good to go there. So that is the possible list of solutions. Now, chances are, and you don't have to write what I'm going to write next, chances are you're going to use a whole number, okay, in this class. Not in every class, but in this class, chances are it's going to be a whole number. Now let's talk about the 3 over 2, because those are possible solutions. So I have a possible solution of 3 divided by 2. So how do I get that factor? If we did have to get that factor, I'm just going to show you this quick. I would start by actually timesing both sides by 2. So I would then have 2x equals 3. And then after that, I would subtract by 3 to both sides. And so I'd get 2x minus 3 equals 0. And so the factor that relates to 3 divided by 2 is 2x minus 3. Now again, I don't need you to write that down. But realize that's how you would find the factor of something like this. You really have to undo the breadcrumbs then. So, I'm not going to tell you where to start. You start wherever you want to start. But you're going to find 1, 0. You're going to find one solution. So you're going to do synthetic division until we get something that works. And then we're going to keep going. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. So I need one of you to find one. So you can start at 1, you can start at 30, you can start at negative 15. It doesn't matter. Start. See where it goes. Do the synthetic division. Shortcut.
You did for that one.
That's how lazy we are in class, but yes, I did there. Oh, no technique. I know. Yep. So 2:13.
I had to teach them to do this.
So once you get a solution, let me know, and we are going to run with it as a class.
It's not 2. We did 1 and 2.
So this is how your test goes. It just has options, and you have to check them. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That will work. 2, 3.
What? What does that do?
Try it out, kid. Don't just sit there. You're gonna have to do the same thing on
Oh,
Thursday.
dude, I did. I did 64. What am I thinking? Oh, mine worked, Mr. Nichols. Hey, 2. Mr. Nichols, I got mine.
You got one?
Yep.
Which one?
2.
2.
Yep.
2 works. All right, I got some heads bobbing. So, 2 works.
But
So, what am I writing down here for 2? You said 2 works. So, what'd you get?
2, 17, 38, 15.
All right. We agree? All right. So 2 works. 2 gave us that. So let's write it in factored form. So I'm going to have x plus or minus 2. Which is it? Minus. And then I'm going to have 2x to what power?
Cube.
Now, looking at that, that's not factoring by grouping. So it doesn't factor by grouping, which means we have to do it again. Now, there's 2 strategies here. 1, I can look at this and this. I can look at my P and Q, and I can redo my possible solutions and go for it. Or I can go back to my original list, because this list will have all the same ones in there, except it will have a few less, because now I don't have 30. Okay? Now I don't have 6. So now I'm looking at really 1, 3, 5, and 10. So I can be purposeful about that. I still have the fractions, but I'm not going to worry about those. So, did anyone have a different solution that worked that they just didn't speak up about? If you did, this would save us time. Okay, 1 we can probably rule out, because that's like the first thing everyone tries. -1, also the next thing that everyone tries. So let's try plus or minus 3 and plus or minus 5. You said, wait, what? You can't try 2, because is 2 a factor of 15? No, so we have a different P, so that's why. Now the solutions are still up in here, but we don't have to try 30, or we don't have to try the other ones that don't get 50. So try 3 and 5, and tell me which one works. You did 5, and it didn't work. Do you try -5? Try both. Try both the plus and the minus before you move on from something. Hayden, you got one? -3. Ooh, I just heard -3 doesn't work.
I said positive 3 doesn't
Oh,
work.
+3 doesn't work. I feel like someone else told me -3 didn't work though either. We're gonna go with it though. Hayden, give me these numbers. Give me these numbers.
2, 11, 5, and 2.
All right, thank you. I'll tell you right now, -3 does work. So I was a little surprised when I thought, I could be wrong. I thought someone said it didn't work, but I was like, hopefully someone else checks that. So -3 does work. You know what else works? 5 or -5. I can't remember which one, but one of them does work. So doesn't matter which one you choose, but we're gonna write this in factored form. So I'm gonna take everything I had in factored form and rewrite it. So I'm gonna have x minus 2, but now I'm gonna have x plus 3 because of that right there. And then I have 2x squared plus 11, x plus 5. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but your reference sheet basically has this exact thing on there. It just says minus signs instead of plus signs. So, like, after this, you could jump right into your reference sheet and get that done. And you really want to have that done before Wednesday. Because you want to use it on Wednesday so that you're used to it when you take the test on Thursday. So, we're here. What does this factor to? I'm going to put 2 parentheses at 2x.
2x plus 1, and then x plus 5.
And that's perfect. So that means my following solutions are x equals -2, x equals -3, x equals -1/2, and x equals -5. I expect work shown on this one. I'm not going to though, because I have something else that I want us to do.
Plus x equals positive Wait, -2.
Or negative, it's positive. That's my bad. I was rushing because I want to get to one last thing. Thank you for catching that. So there's our 4 solutions. Now, Aiden had asked me, would I be that mean?
I think I would.
Or Asher asked. Asher asked? Oh, man. Yeah, I would be. I'm not saying I am, but I'm saying it's a possibility. So, questions there? All right, get that sandwich sheet paper out. We're going to do one last thing together. One really quick. It should take less than a minute. You're going to change this from factored form to standard form. And I want you to notice this is x cubed. It is not squared. Okay, that is x cubed. So I want you to change this to standard form. Distribute. Combine your like terms. And then after you do that, we'll talk briefly and then you're done. Just distribute. Distribute it out. I'm only going to give you a minute, and I'm going to start writing some stuff with that. 1 minute. I'm not going to take more time. I'm going to leave that answer there. So if you need to finish that, you can. That's what we get. Now, the directions say to put this in standard form, and you put x, or you put 3x cubed, and then you put everything else. Is that correct?
No.
It's not. The standard form goes in descending order. Highest or lowest. So you got to watch that. With the rest of your time, I highly recommend that you get that reference, the factoring reference sheet done, and I will check.